wasn't a short time, but Simon had control over them for a long time, right? This wasn't a 2-week relationship. This wasn't a 6 months relationship. This wasn't even a 2-year relationship, right? Simon had been working his hand for a long time in these people's lives. Now, one of the things that you don't do when you're in a relationship where you're being manipulated is you don't really take inventory often.
Right.
Let me help somebody out here. See, when you're being manipulated, you don't typically take inventory. Right, because when you're in sound mind, you should be taking inventory. When you're in sound mind, you need to be evaluating yourself. Am I healthy? Am I well? Do I feel good? Am I good emotionally? Am I good mentally? Am I good spiritually? Am I good financially? Am I good physically? Right. But when you're being manipulated, you really don't have your right mind, so you don't take inventory of yourself. Well, I want you to see the long-term impact of being connected to Simon. The Bible describes the people's condition in verse number 7. It says some of them were possessed by demons. It said there were others who were dealing with paralysis, and then there was a third group that was lame, or they were dealing with extreme pain. Look at this now. This is the condition of the people who have been connected to this manipulator for a long period of time. They are possessed, they are paralyzed, and they are in pain. And baby, I wonder, is there anybody in the house of God that is willing to have a moment of transparency and vulnerability to where, you know what, being connected to certain people, you open the doors to some demons in your life. Right? You found yourself either being possessed, you found yourself being oppressed, or you found yourself being depressed because you opened the door to assignment in your life. But what happens is not only does it come with oppression and possession, but the Bible said that these people were paralyzed, which means, you know what, they were stuck, which means if they wanted to move, they couldn't move because they were under the power and the control of a manipulator. And I wonder how many of us have found ourselves in certain seasons of our lives, we have been stuck. The reason why we are not where we're supposed to be professionally, the reason why we're not supposed to be where we're supposed to be financially, the reason why we're not where we're supposed to be relationally is because we allowed ourselves to stay stuck in a relationship with assignment. Or can I tell you the third phase? You ain't just stuck, but you're stuck there in your lane or you're in pain. Now, my God, how diabolical is that? I can't move even though it hurts me. Right? I want to be healed, Rob, but I can't move because I'm paralyzed. I want to be healed, but I can't move because I'm paralyzed. I want to break the relationship off, but I can't break it off because I'm paralyzed. I wonder, is there anybody in the house of God that has ever had to deal with a manipulator? Let me tell you the sad part. Can I tell you the sad part? The sad part is Simon had control, and Simon was a counterfeit.
Right.
It wasn't like Councilman Banks said this was really a powerful man of God. It's not like this was somebody who really had the real substance to him. But the Bible lets us know, catch this now. It said that this man in verse number 9, it says that he was giving out that he himself was some great one. Another translation says he was claiming to be somebody great. Now, how many realize people who are great, they don't have to claim it? I wish I had a witness. They don't have to convince you, they just are, right? They don't have to give you their resume. They don't have to try to sweet talk you. They don't have to try to convince you of what they bring to the table. When somebody, my God, who is the real deal shows up, right, all that authenticity and all that greatness shows up with them. Simon was a counterfeit. Simon showed up with some new sneakers and a fresh outfit, and you bought it. You never asked what his credit score was. You never asked did he have his own place. You found out Simon was still in his mama's basement. Right? You didn't ask, my God, what he had going for himself. Do you own any properties? My God, what is your place of employment? Right? What you needed to do is you need to say, screenshot me your credit card. Let me see your credit card, Simon, before we go any further. Right. Simon showed up. Can I tell you something? And he wasn't genuine.
Right.
He was a counterfeit. Let me. See, Mike doesn't want to say certain things, but Pastor Mike has to say certain things. Fellas, Mike would never do this, but But Pastor Mike has to do this. Ladies, can I tell you something? Just because he comes to church, don't mean he's saved. Out of all the people that stood up, there was just one brother right there in the middle. All the others sitting back like this. Can I tell you something? Listen, I know you want a man of God, but just because he quotes one scripture doesn't mean, come on now, that he's a man of God. Because I realize anybody can fake something for a short period of time. Right? He was a counterfeit, and even though he was a counterfeit, Brother Gators, he still had gotten control. Now I got to ask myself the question, how did these people allow this counterfeit to get so much control over their life? Well, you got to understand, right? I need to lay down this foundation before we transition. You got to understand who the Samaritans were. The Samaritans were the product of Jewish people who had relations with the Syrian people. So the Samaritans were like Pastor Michael Young. They were of a mixed breed. Amen. They were half Jewish and they were half Assyrian. Now, why is that significant? Because Jewish culture viewed the Samaritans as less than. Jewish people wanted no dealings with Samaritans. This is why in John chapter number 4, when Jesus goes to the woman at the well, Jesus has to make this statement to his disciples, I must need go through Samaria, because in the Jewish disciples' mind, we don't do any dealings with the Samaritans. We don't mess with Samaria because they were looked down upon. They were second-class citizens, right? Which means, watch this now, the Samaritans were a group of people who, number one, were rejected, and number two, they had identity issues. How was Simon able to take advantage of these people in Samaria? He preyed upon, number one, the spirit of rejection that was upon their life, and number two, he preyed upon their insecurities and their identity issues. Right? Can I tell you something? There will be two types of people in your life. There will be those who pray for you, and there will be those who pray upon you. And let me tell you what Simon did. Simon preyed upon the rejection that he saw on them. Simon preyed upon the fact that he knew that they had insecurities. He knew that they struggled with their identity, and they allowed this joker to have control over their life. Now, some of us find ourselves having to deal with the collateral damage of being connected to some Simons in our life. Whether it be in friendship groups, whether it be in the place of business, whether it be in romantic relationships, whether it even be, my God, some of your family members, right? You have found yourself connected to people, my God, who have controlled you, have influenced you, and you know what? There has been collateral damage. And now we find ourselves trying to put the pieces back together from what it is that Simon did to us. Well, baby, can I tell you something? Help is on the way. When we look at the text here, these people who found themselves in that condition, these people who found themselves having to deal with this Simon, these people who found themselves paralyzed, possessed, and in pain, the Bible said that one day God sent a man named Philip into the city. And let me tell you what the Bible said Philip did. It said that when Philip showed up, he began to preach Christ, number one. But maybe he did not stop there. He preached the word and he began to work miracles. Can I tell you something? When he showed up, they now had, my God, what authenticity looks like. And when somebody who's authentic shows up in your life, you begin to see what you've been dealing with and who you've been dealing with. They were not the real thing. Philip showed up, and watch this now. The Bible said that these same people who were possessed, who were paralyzed, and who were in pain, he said he began to alleviate the demonic possession. He began to heal them of their paralysis, and he began to alleviate their pain. Let me tell you what should happen in your life when an authentic person shows up. Mr. Mayor Michael Bivens, my life should instantaneously start getting better when the real one shows up. I wonder if there's anybody in the house of God that you've been praying, you've been fasting, you've been believing. God, send some real people into my life. Send some real friends. Send people who are going to, my God, genuinely love me, genuinely support me, genuinely this simple prayer with me. Lay hands on yourself and say, God, please heal my mind from the influence of manipulation. Listen, God, please heal my mind from the influence of manipulation. One more time. God, please heal my mind from the influence of manipulation. Family, if you believe that God has the ability to do that right now, I need you to put your hands together. Give God praise. If you're in the house of God this morning and you desire prayer,